We're Icap, and we are the lending arm for the Institute. And one of our primary commitments is to make loans to women businesses. That is an area that we need to certainly improve on. And so I'm extremely excited about talking with, the ladies that are on today, and to just give them as much information as possible about what we do and how we can best serve, their organization. So I look forward to answering any questions that anyone may have. I am the lending officer, and Dwayne is the business development officer for Institute Capital.
Great. Thank you for that, TF. We are the Women's Business Center, but we are available to help whoever comes asking for help. So a lot of our programs are dedicated to women, and sometimes they're special programs, but our business counseling, our classes, our resources, we are open to whoever comes through the door, whoever needs help. We are open to you all. I'll let Dwayne go now, and you guys take over and let's get started.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Dwayne Bryant. I am the business development specialist for Institute Capital. My partner, TF Congleton, he already introduced himself. He is the commercial lending officer for the Institute, and we are the Institute Capital. So what we do here at Institute. So the Institute, we actually launched April 1st, 2021. We are the lending arm for the Institute, which is formerly the North Carolina Institute of Minority Economic Development. I believe we did a merger with the Initiative Capital, and we did a whole rebranding, and now we are Institute Capital. So what we do, we provide debt and investment capital to affordable housing developers, community-based development organizations, CBDOs, and small businesses. We revitalize and transform diverse communities through affordable housing, entrepreneurship, HBCU collaborations, and community development. We collaborate with like-minded mission organizations to extend our impact. These are a few of our loan products that we have. Now, interesting fact, we are a partner, TF, in the disbursement of the Carolina Retool NC package. So there are many times during the year that we do have grants available. We normally let our women's business centers know when we are funding those businesses with those small grants that we have available. So just a small piece of information for everyone. But as of right now, what our own growing program is our loan products. We are a loan giving business. We give to the people that cannot go to the primary institutions. So for our businesses less than 3 years, we do have our micro loan products, which is about $25K to $50K, and the terms are up to 5 years. For our small business loan product, 3+ years in business, $50K to $250K, up to 10 years in terms. For our affordable housing pre-development funding, depends on the project when it comes to the years of operations, but up to $750,000 available, up to 3 years. But we also have different structures available when we come to those products. I know TF has specialized in those products, and he has made special terms and structures for clients with special needs. Affordable housing gap financing, construction and perms, same thing as before, terms up to 10 years. And then community-based organization bridge funding, those vary depending on the years of operations, and up to $250,000 for up to 2 years.
A quick question, since it's up here, do you lend outside of North Carolina, or is there a specific area that you lend?
So right now we are lending in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia.
Okay.
And we are moving. So we plan to move to Kentucky, West Virginia. I'm missing somebody, TF. Who am I missing? DC.
Oh, it's pretty much your footprint, Nathaniel, with as it relates to the women's business centers throughout the 5 states. That's pretty much going to be our footprint as well. I think it's 5 states, and of course the District of Columbia. So really, it's six.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for that.
Right. So how do we apply? Simply, we will have, I'm actually going to send this over to Nathaniel so he's able to give it out to all of, or we can put it in the chat for everybody. So this is the link to apply. Oh, didn't mean to turn the page. This is the link to apply. We use a platform called Loanwell. Very user-friendly platform, very self-explanatory. And I am always a call away to walk anybody through the application process. It's fairly easy, very easy. I don't think we've had too much difficulty with it, but it's very much user-friendly. But general required documents, a valid photo ID, pay stubs, 2 most recent, business bank statements, personal and business tax return. If you have a Schedule C, that usually will be on your personal tax return, so we use those. 24-month financial projections, 2 years, business plan if you're a new business or an expansion, balance sheet year-to-date, profit and loss statement, commercial real estate mortgage statement or business lease agreement, business purchase agreement if applicable, a business insurance policy, accounts receivable and payable aging statements, and merchant processing statement if applicable. So most of these docs are something that you would see with every business owner. If you have questions, you usually can get with I know the Women's Business Center does a pretty good job at getting people ready to apply. That would be the first thing that I would say to anybody that comes to us. Check with your Women's Business Center to see if you are ready. A lot of times we get people that apply and they haven't done a balance sheet all year, or they haven't done a profit and loss sheet for the whole year. At that point, we wouldn't be able to see what your full financial picture is. So we wouldn't be able to loan in we wouldn't have a clear statement of your financial status. So definitely look for that technical assistance with our Women's Business Center before applying. But these are just general documents. And last but not least,
let's just want to address it while it's there. For businesses that are either starting up now or are just 6 months to a year started, what is the chances of getting a loan through Icap or any other Cdfi?
So the chances of getting on, we actually just had this discussion. So what we would need for you to do, you're just starting. We are a collateral-based lender. We do what we're not a collateral-based. As of right now, we do require collateral when it comes to our lending. If you come with good collateral, a good business plan, a good background. So that's the biggest thing that I've seen. If you want to open a restaurant and you have spent 15 to 20 years as an executive chef, those are the ones that will be able to move forward. Not you've been working in insurance all your life and you was like, hey, I like selling cupcakes. Let's start a cupcake business. See, those are the ones where it's going to be a little bit of pause, and you may still have a strong case. So everything is case by case, but the background and the resume is very dependent on those startups and your experience and what you can bring to the table.
Hey, Nathaniel, and just to add to that, we all know we can't fund everyone, but we work with a lot of partners that may be receptive to startups, as Dwayne illustrated. So we're willing to see if we can find a partner that could work with someone that's trying to start a business, even though it may not necessarily be us. So we don't just, say, no, we can't do it, go away, come back in 2 years and let's talk. We'll look for other resources to see if we could find someone that could provide the necessary funding for a small business that wants to get off and going.
Yes, and just for an example, we had a young lady. I'm not going to say her name. She had a jean company. She was a clothing company, but they specialized in jeans. She had no collateral first year, but we were able to refer her over to one of our partners, and she was able to get $55,000 for her startup. So we're very much about getting you what you need for your business. And this slide is our Institute Capital team. Right now, you have Miss Roberta McCullough. She is our Senior Vice President of Operations. She has done a great job with creating a great team surrounding this project. This is all her contact information. You have our Commercial Lending Officer, Mr. T.F. Congleton. Then you have myself, the Business Development Specialist. This is all my contact information. I'm going to also put my business cell on the I'm going to also put my business cell on here as well, because that is a big place that I'm reached. As far as the office, I'm usually out. Me and TF are both usually out of the office. We're on the road. So I know TF took a trip to Virginia last week. I went all the way to Charlotte last week. So we're always on the road, and we're willing to come see anybody that wants to do anything in person. And then we have our funding processor, Miss Irma Urbina. She is a great help, a great resource. If you cannot reach me or TF, this is the person who you can probably get a hold to, and they will know exactly what to do so you can move forward in your application.
Great. Can you back the slide one and let some people want to take those notes as it's on the screen of the required documentation? Also, that is on your website, correct? They can get these required docs. Okay, and I'm going to, if it's all right with you, I'll share this presentation with everybody who registered as well so that they can get this information even if they weren't in this presentation. All right.
Perfect. No problem.
I have a few questions. Let me just throw them at you. Somebody leaving active duty, is there a special way that they can acquire funding for a small business through you all?
This when they say a special way, what do they mean by
so
special?
It's the question. Let me read the question exactly and see what about those who are just leaving active duty? Completely different realm of business. So I assume they want to start a business. They just left after duty. What they want to do with the rest of their time is do some kind of business activity. Mm-hmm. So we're in the realm of the startup, I guess, where if it was me, I would recommend them to start something and look for you guys a little bit later on. I don't know if that.
But one of the things we try to do is to steer them into the best technical assistance for retired military. I happen to have a client that has a training group that's geared towards retired military. And what she does is she helps them with their business plan and even things like feasibility studies and traffic studies and things of that nature. And she looks at, what type of memberships should that individual be involved in, whether it be hub certifications or DRE certifications or DOT certifications. And so she gets that individual involved in all those different types of programs first and foremost. But then it still kind of gets back to what type of business is that individual going to engage in? Is it something that they're going to get involved in that they were trained to do, while they were in the military, such as, selling guns. I mean, or whether it be the security business or something along those lines. And so if that person has a specific aptitude towards the business that they're trying to engage in, then it's very possible that we can get them to, let's say, a small business center where they could put together a full package for that individual. And then with that full package, they could go to any CDFI such as ours or others. Some CDFIs may be involved in SBA financing. We're not currently. We're not an SBA lender currently, but we're working on that. But let's say if they would be interested in a loan where they could get an SBA guarantee. They could very well, a retired military individual could very well get the funding they need or grants that they need in order to get their business jump started. It's just that we are not equipped right now for most startups unless that individual has significant training or education in the type of business that they're going to try to get going. Then we can most likely work with them for some type of funding, whether it be lending or whether it be grants or whether it be a combination of the two, or whether it be cross-pollinating them with another similar type lender that may offer SBA loans and what have you. So again, it may be something that we can't necessarily do right away, but we just won't stop there. We'll continue that process of finding them the right partner, the right funding partner that could get them the funding they need.
I would piggyback on that and say that's what we would want to do here at the Women's Business Center. If we can't give you what you need, if we hand you over to Icap and they can't give you what you need, there's always that networking opportunity through us and through other organizations. So networking and participating in programs like ours, programs like Icap, and just being around, showing your face, getting to know people, it's a great way to be steered in the right direction or just stumble upon opportunities because you're involved in what's happening in this arena that we're talking about.
Absolutely.
There's a couple questions here. One is, do you require personal guarantee to secure loan approvals? A small business, but not a startup.
Yes, we do require personal guarantees. And if you think about it, that makes all the sense in the world because it's still your business. And you must be willing to accept the risk associated with your business. And one way to do that is to provide personal guarantees. Of course, the other reason we look at personal guarantees is, you may have some other revenue sources to help support the loan request. And if you have other revenue sources, we certainly would need to get your guarantee that you also use those additional revenue sources as part of the approval process for your loan request. So yes, guarantees are going to almost always be a part of the deal. Of course, collateral. And of course, what we like to call skin in the game. We will never be interested in doing 100% financing. We always will want the individual to have at least a 15% equity, whether it be things that you've already purchased historically and you can provide proof of that, or you simply, you need to borrow $100,000 and we're willing to lend you 85 and you've got $15,000 of equity that needs to be injected into the project. So we always want you to have skin in the game, and that's whether you're going to start up or whether you've been in business 50 years.
Absolutely.
We're going to always want you to have some skin in the game.
So the active duty question, there's some follow-up there. I'm just going to say that from what the question states, or the information in there, I would say they should contact you guys directly and see what you can work out with them. They're talking about expanding a business. So there's a business already started, and they want to expand and shift a little bit.
Motion detected at your back door.
That's a great opportunity to speak directly with you all, I would say.
Absolutely.
Their information is in the chat, and in an email I'll send at the end of this, I'll also include their information with this presentation. And yeah, go ahead and contact them and start that process.
Yeah, that I know. Now you kind of speak in our language. We want to see existing businesses that have the aptitude for expansion, and that falls right in play with our mission. And one of the things that we would also want to see within that expansion is, how many new jobs is that expansion going to create, and will those jobs provide the kind of diversity and inclusion that we're also looking for that's within our mission? Because we do want to see, women, minorities, handicapped, veterans. We want to see all those categories within an applicant's overall picture, and how they plan to incorporate those categories within their business. So we do look at that, and us being able to provide funding for an organization that can expand and create those kind of jobs helps us to get more funding, because most of our funding are through donors of some sort, whether it be a major bank such as Fifth Third or Truist or Bank of America, or even some private funders. We get all of our dollars. None of our dollars are public funds. We get them through donors, and so donors like to see what are you doing with those dollars? Are you making loans to small businesses that are providing jobs in their communities? So we always are analyzing that aspect as well.
Mr. Congleton, this is Phyllis Thornton from the Women's Business Center. I have a question for you.
Okay.
And hello to everyone. I'm sorry. You touched base on the retired veteran. What about the veteran that did 4 years and he came out?
Sure.
And she came out, and coming out, she has a home, a car that's paid for, and she just happened to come home to where her parents had a business where they got too old to take care of. Ergo, she's looking at 5 vans. She wants to restart this business of taking kids around, for parents, picking them up for school and everything. But she says she has a low credit score. What would be the best direction for her, in your opinion?
Well, there are a lot of directions she could take there. Number one, technically she's in a startup capacity. However, she's starting up a business that she's been familiar with since she was probably a little girl. So, it's a family business. And that's a little bit different animal than someone that's just starting from scratch with really no real idea of what the next step is. More than likely, she's been involved in that business, even though she's a veteran that got out of the service. So we would definitely want to work with her. One of the differences between a CDFI and commercial bank or even a credit union is our criteria is extremely low. Case in point, our Beacon score minimum is 600. That's about as low as it gets. So, if her Beacon score is 600 or better, we can work with her, And if she's got a couple of dings on the credit report, that's medical, collection, medical collection related, we kind of discount those anyway. If she can just provide a little bit of explanation of those issues, we're good to go. As long as she doesn't have any fresh judgments or delinquencies, but her credit score is just low because maybe she's used finance companies for many years versus banks. That'll drive her score down. Maybe one Saturday she went looking for a brand new car and went to 10 dealerships and they all pulled credit. That'll drive a credit score down. So, there are a lot of reasons for credit scores being driven down. We just look at it. And as long as she basically has a clean report, she's 600 or better, we can work with her for sure. Also, things like debt service coverage ratio, we're very low on that as well. We'll go down as little as 1.1 to 1. That means you could have $1.10 in debt. You just need to make sure you earn $1 for every $1.10 of debt that you have.
Okay.
You earn $1. So the debt service coverage ratio is 110 to 1.
110 to 1.
So that's as low as it gets in the industry. Most banks are generally around 125, between 125 and 140 to 1. I know this because I was in banking 32 years before I retired and decided to go back to work. Having 2 young daughters will make you do that. But anyway,
and thank you for that.
One in medical school, one in college as a sophomore. It makes you have to go back to work. But anyway, but your particular client, we could definitely work with her, and I'm sure there's some things that we will have to get some explanations on, but we're willing to do that. And
okay.
that's really the difference between CDFIs, community development financial institutions, and commercial banks. Commercial banks, they want the prime A number 1 client. Now they're willing to send us the client that's not A number 1, and that's fine with us because we can work with that client every day.
Okay.
So just to piggyback off TF, the biggest difference, and I always say this to my friends and family, the biggest difference between a CDFI and a primary bank is uniformity is required in the primary bank, and we focus on uniqueness. The uniqueness of your situation, the uniqueness of your business, and then we make something out of that. So that's the biggest difference between the two.
Very good, Dwayne. Awesome.
A person coming to you is going to have a better chance if their business impacts the community in a certain way, hires certain people, has a certain special factor of how it impacts the area where they are. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Here's a question, very specific. Let me throw it at you. It says, I have an ice cream truck looking to expand to brick and mortar. I own a building outright, but I do not want to borrow against the building. I also have $32,500 in equipment. Can I borrow against that number, the equipment number?
So
can that work as collateral?
So in that situation, it will work as collateral, but we will have to know what is the amount you're requesting, because that equipment is going to get discounted so much. I believe it's at 50% discount, right, TF? So that means you would only have what? $16,250 in lendable equity in that equipment. Now, what I would tell you is this: if you own that building outright and you believe, like we believe in your business, go ahead and use that building as collateral to put us in the best situation. You may be able to put your ask a little higher, which is instead of $100,000 using the business and your equipment, you may be able to ask for $150,000 to put your business in the perfect position. Most time people come to us and they ask for the lowest amount they think that they can get. And I always ask, in a perfect world, how much does your business need? And that building could put you in the predicament of the perfect world. So that's what I always say.
Also, if you use your real estate, we can stretch that payment out, make it more affordable for you. We can stretch it on out to 15 years and maybe even 20 years if it makes sense. We can stretch that out for you. With equipment, keep in mind, we have to take after we discounted 50%, then we have to take consideration the depreciation aspect of the equipment. So that may drive the term down even lower for you. So all of a sudden you've got an equipment loan where the payment is more than if you had it secured by the building. So again, and I get it, it's the fear of if I fail, do I lose my real estate? Well, what the individual that asked that question needs to get in their mind is, don't be fearful. Overcome your fears. And that's why you put together a really good, solid business plan, a really good, solid roadmap for your business. We understand that the first year you may not profit. I don't know of a single business that profits the first year. Most businesses that profit the first year usually are not a legitimate business. They're doing something other than what they should be doing. So we understand that, but what we do is, we look at a 3 to 5 year trend and see how what that trend looks like for your business. Do a little bit of market research on your business to make sure that 3 years from now, it can still thrive and prosper. So before that commitment is made, we do a lot of groundwork to make sure that your business has a viability. So, but you have to have confidence in yourself before you take that leap of faith. And if you feel squirrely about that, then it's not the right time for you to be borrowing, because you've got to have confidence in your business. And if you have confidence in your business, we're going to have confidence in you. It's as simple as that.
Definitely. I don't have any questions at the moment. Can you? Well, you kind of explained the basic difference between a primary bank and the Cdfi is that special factor. What else can you add to that? As like, not everybody is doing a charity business, or their business may not impact people in a special way necessarily. Maybe for example, an ice cream truck becoming an ice cream store. You can definitely tailor your business to work a certain way, but just, the basic, I want to sell ice cream because I love selling ice cream and I want to, fund my life that way. I want that to be my income.
Sure.
It is still an option to go with someone like Icap or a Cdfi for some funding for that business.
And just another thing, I know personally, just from what we've done, and I might just be speaking for the Institute Capital, but I get the feeling it's a part of the CDFI culture, is everybody here wants to help. Every client that we get, we want to help. And it's kind of a hard part. That's the hard part of the job, I would say, is those clients that we can't help. It's kind of a disappointment. And I don't know. Do you agree with that, TF? I know to me, it's a very much a disappointment when we can't help.
I agree with that. And our commitment to wanting to help is driven because most of the time, the client that comes to us has probably been rejected by their bank. And it's not because they're not good people or good, even credit-worthy people. It's generally because the loan request is just too small for the bank. You have to remember, banks are just for-profit businesses. They have shareholders that they've got to contend with and boards of directors that they've got to contend with. And so they have to make money. We're a nonprofit financial institution. And while we have to make money in order to keep our doors open and to pay our personnel, we don't have to comply with trying to pay shareholders. That's the really big difference. So as a result, the big banks, they have to make huge loans. So really, deals $1 million or less, whether you have an 800 Beacon score or better, banks still don't want to bank you because they can't make any money. And so we're not driven by that. We're driven by a mission to have small businesses remain viable, so they can do what? So they can employ people and continue to build on the communities in which they serve. It's really that simple. So and that's why we have community focus in the name Cdfi. We're focusing on building communities and maintaining community integrity, and it's making sure that everybody can eat. All races, creeds, statues, everybody can eat. And so the mainstream banks give us money because they want that mission too. They just don't have time to do it because they can't make any money. So they give us the money to do it. And then they can get credit. It's called CRA, Community Reinvestment Act credit. They get that credit for that for their regulators. And we're not regulated by the FDIC or federal regulators. We do receive audits from organizations such as ARIS and CDFI, but it's a different type of audit process, and so we can do things, and we can take a little bit more risk or a lot more risk than the banks can do, or even certain credit unions can do. Now we have to charge for that. We do charge a little higher rate. Our cost of funds margins are a little tight, so we have to charge a little higher rate, and we have to get a little bit higher fee because it's the fee income that pays our salaries. So in order for us to be able to maintain the organization, whether it's us or whether it's the Women's Business Center, we have to that fee income that we charge goes primarily towards that. And so
we're still very competitive as far as our rates as well.
We're still very competitive. As a matter of fact, our average rate is about 6%. And it can go up a little higher depending on, things like Beacon scores and what have you. But the average rate is about 6%. And in today's marketplace and the type of lending we do, that's very competitive.
Here's another question. Let me read it for you. It says, I'm in the process of getting a loan through another agency. There's a 90-day approval. If denied, how soon should I reapply using your services or Cdfi?
The next day.
The next day. There you go.
Definitely the next day.
As soon as you can.
That is hilarious. TF, just for the group, I think Tennessee is some place we're going to, right? Tennessee?
It's not been cast in the stone, but it's logical. I mean, yes. We're already moving, into the western part of the state with our western counties funding. That goes right into Cherokee County, which is the next step is Tennessee. So that makes sense. We're already going to be in West Virginia. And I believe, is it Kentucky? I'm not sure. I think it's
Kentucky. I know Kentucky. I think Tennessee was the one I was missing.
Yeah.
I think it's 6 states and DC.
Yeah, and Metro DC. It's strange because the suburban Maryland is part of the DC metropolitan area. However, we're not currently authorized to lend in Maryland. but we can do within the square of Washington, D.C. And of course, Virginia. So the Virginia part of Metro D.C. would be covered, obviously, but the Maryland part is not covered. And boy, I have so many contacts in Baltimore and suburban Washington, D.C. So I'm a little bit disappointed about that. But my feeling tells me within the next year or two, Maryland would be opened up as well, because once you go west of westerly Maryland, it's right at the tip of West Virginia as well. So so Maryland would make sense to be another state that we need to go into. But right now we're hot and heavy in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. And we're getting ready to do some major funding in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and the city of Florence. I just met with a group that is associated with Hampton University, which is my alma mater, for a big affordable housing development. And there may be a possibility for us to fund some pre-development funding for them.
And and I know somebody asked about Florida earlier. So listen, TF has already given me the game plan. I am from Florida. I have a lot of clients from Florida. I graduated from FAMU in Tallahassee. I am pushing it, trying to get to Florida. But since we are not there yet, the only CDFI that I know of, it's actually a CDFI and a credit union, is FAMU Credit Union in Tallahassee, Florida.
Yeah.
So that's the only CDFI that I know in Florida right now. And I think they are the only one in Florida.
Well, I will say this, our illustrious President and CEO, Kevin Price, who's an awesome individual, by the way, he is very, very aggressive in mergers and acquisitions of like-minded CDFIs like us, because his belief is we can serve the public so much better if we're one large entity in many states versus having a lot of smaller entities in many states. So I know he wants to really be very aggressive in the merger and acquisition. He's already been successful in a couple of acquisitions within the last year or so, which is why we're rebranded. But I suspect that he's looking into all the states that we just mentioned to grow our presence. And once our presence grows, then our ability to get more funding grows, whether it be for lending or whether it be for grants. And I suspect, in the next couple of years, we're going to be a much larger organization and touching many, many, many more people. So I'm very excited about it.
Here's a few questions. Are you getting them, Dwayne? Or?
Yes, I'm reading them as they come.
All right.
So we do fund those type of services, multi-services, notary documents, authorized dealer for selling internet and cable. Yes, we literally take any business. But what's our disclaimer on the Loan Well platform, TF? I think it's dispensaries, gambling. Yeah, those are the only ones we.
Yeah.
But other than that, we fund anything that makes uniqueness once again, and the expected turnaround from application to funding. Now, in the perfect world, we are looking at about 30 days for funding, but that's if you apply, we send you the documents that we need, you bring all the documents in, and we're able to put you in right away. So that's the perfect world. But I would say 30 to 45 days from application to funding.
Now, in terms of approval, we can probably, Dwayne and I could probably get you an approval in 10 to 12 days.
Yes.
As far as saying, hey, from the time and that's from a completed application with all of your documents uploaded, because Dwayne and I then have to analyze everything. And then we have to feel good about it. And then once we feel good about it, we have to present it to our loan committee. And our loan committee is usually every other Thursday. And sometimes if we have a lot going on, we can have an emergency committee, between those times. So we can get a pretty quick approval for you. And then, actually have dollars in hand, like Dwayne said, 30 days, 40, it can be up to 45 days or so if there's real estate involved, we have to get an appraisal and all that.
Yeah.
And then the attorney has to close it. That's the only reason why it would take a longer time. But if there's no real estate involved, it can close even sooner than that. As soon as it gets out of loan committee, another week or so, those dollars can close. So it just depends on the deal and what type of collateral we're using determines how long it takes.
Do you have any insurance requirements on businesses or specific businesses with certain insurance to get collateral or?
Well, yes and no. Sometimes we, depending on the deal, if the deal is kind of marginal and we need to shore it up, we may ask for a key man policy, to help shore that deal up. We always want to make sure that the business owner has business liability coverage, and that covers not only the business, but it covers us in case somebody sues, and then and the lawsuit is so significant that it could create the business going bankrupt. So that liability coverage can give some comfort to not only the lender, but to the business itself. So we do mandate, business insurance on all of our businesses. Now for collateral, of course, we have to have insurance on the collateral, whether it's vehicles or whether it's real estate. You have to have hazard insurance. Just like if you're homeowners, you have to have homeowners coverage. Yeah. So we're going to ask for that, and we're going to ask to be named loss payee on those policies.
So here's an interesting one, and I'm going to answer a portion of it because of what she's asking. She says she's taken care of her elderly mom for years, and she passed away recently, so we're sorry about that. But she says she has no income. However, she has 37 acres of land and has wanted to do some mushrooms or earthworm growing on this land or do some kind of activity with it. So she's saying, how do I start? Get a job, go back to school. She's 61 years old, so she's a little bit lost. So for our part, I would say, come to us, talk to us about your idea, and we will guide you as to what's a good starting place for your business. Start a business. It's a great idea, and you don't have to go to school. You may not have to get a job. It just depends on what you're trying to do. After that, would someone like Icap be able to fund a very small or a very fledgling business, let's say, that has collateral like land?
It's possible. Again, we have certain rules around startups. We just have to look at each one on an individual basis and see if we can make it work. But one of the things that I would also suggest, if she wants to, let's say, if she's got 39 acres and she wants to start a mushroom business, seek out other mushroom farmers and see and get and learn from them and see what their processes are. Or the big thing right now is growing hemp. Hemp is really, really big in North Carolina. North Carolina issues a half dozen permits every single day for growing hemp, and all you need to do is have a farm number. And then, you can begin to grow hemp. And so once again, find some hemp farmers, see what, it's like driving a car. It's like driving a high quality used car. You drive it off the lot, you don't have to worry about the depreciation. Same thing with a business. Go and talk to individuals that have already made all the mistakes and let them tell you what those mistakes are. So when you come out of the gate, you know what not to do. And so that in combination with your work, Nathaniel, would certainly get her in the right trajectory for funding. USDA, I just saw an article, and I think I sent you that article yesterday, Dwayne. If not, I'll send it to you today, about USDA's mission for non-commodity growers. And non-commodity farm growers are individuals that don't grow tobacco, soybeans, and peanuts. They grow crops on a contract basis. I happen to be one of them. I grow hemp and cauliflower for plant-based materials. I've been growing contract growing for 20 years now, and I'm a 5th generation farmer. My father was a commodity grower. He's probably looking down at me mad because I'm not growing tobacco, soybeans, and peanuts. But he's probably proud of me because I'm doing pretty well as a commodity grower. So there are all kinds of farm opportunities right now. So just tell her to just find different types of farmers out there that are growing non-commodity products and pick their brain.
Absolutely. Networking, getting out there, talking with people, participating in organizations like ours. I think that's the best place to start. Let me make sure that everybody knows that our contact info is in the chat, and I will send an email with all that contact info as well. This presentation as well in that email, so you guys can contact us, see what's in the presentation if you didn't get to see it. I'll include the recording of this talk as well. If you have any other questions, we have about 5 minutes left, so go ahead and put them in there. Come off the mic if you want to ask them. We're here and willing. Here's another question. I'm planning on minting NFT, non-fungible tokens. These tokens will be part of our product and will serve as a VIP membership opportunity for our community. Question, can the minted NFTs be used as collateral against the loan?
We aren't there yet. That's what I would say for that one. We aren't there just yet.
Yeah, volatility is probably the biggest thing there.
Yeah, and I don't know of any lender that would be willing to securitize an intangible asset like that. I just don't know of any. But again, that doesn't mean we would not be interested in talking with her, because we may find another alternative. So the whole key is to establish communication and to let them know that even though we're Institute Capital, we're still a Siamese twin to you guys. I mean, you guys are the part of the Women's Center, but we're all in the same family. And so I want you and Phyllis to always feel comfortable contacting me or Dwayne if you have any clients that are looking at anything, because chances are I may know of someone, or Dwayne may know of someone, or it may be something we may want to try to tackle. And the only way for us to know that is for us to be able to cross-pollinate each other as well. So my phone number is always available, and I'm just gonna go ahead and give you my cell number. Nathaniel, if you just want to write that down, it'd be great.
Right. This is for the chat.
Yeah, you can do it for the chat.
All right.
And it's 252-916-5211. And honestly, that's the best way to reach me, because I'm in Greenville, North Carolina today. I'm not in Durham very often, so you can have people contact me, or you can contact me, or Phyllis can contact me at that number directly if you have anything that we can do. if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to get those answered for you.
Definitely. Thank you for that, TF. I mean, I'm sure it means a lot to people. I would go as far as to say that, don't throw the number around too much, but you can see that TF is absolutely interested and eager to help people in this situation with, a funding question or a question related to Icap. And that's what we're all here willing to do. I mean, through whatever avenue that is, go to our website. We have a request for counseling button there. You can put your info. You'll become a part of our organization that way. And just being a part of the organization, even if you don't start your business, or if your business is slowly growing as you participate with us and opportunities come down the line, you're in the pipeline for these opportunities, that we can identify a business and say, hey, look, we've talked to them many times. They're doing this, they're doing that. They're a good candidate for this opportunity. For example, this retool program that you guys are running right now.
Mm-hmm.
Nathaniel, my phone number for the chat as well. This is the best way to reach me as well. The cell phone, 919-824-0938.
And I just want to make a quick comment about the application process. The application process is extremely easy. The upload process is extremely easy. But I just want to urge everyone, don't go through the application process until you're absolutely ready, because there is a fee involved in the application process. It's $300 plus. Once we get to the point of credit reports, the credit reports are $30 per report. So if it's a business and an individual credit report we need to pull up, that's $60. So, there's a little bit of cost associated with going through the application process. And so I just want to make sure that, when you go through that process, you're ready and you have your documents ready. And my suggestion is, don't even start that process until you have all the documents that need to be uploaded, ready to upload. And in that way, you can go, it'll take maybe 30 minutes max to do that. And once you have the application in place, then Dwayne or myself will contact you and say, hey, I've got your application. We're going to start processing. Maybe you've missed this or that, and we can kind of walk you through, what may be missing. But if your application is, let's say, at 25% and it's just hanging out there, it's going to get withdrawn after 30 days. Yes. So, so just wait until you have all your documents in place. Then you go through and start that application process. And as Dwayne said earlier, you can contact us if it's a little bit imposing to you and you need a little bit of walkthrough. Dwayne can do that because he's much better than I am. But no, I was just kidding. But we can certainly work you through that process.
Wonderful.
And with the fees as well, if they aren't able to be collected up front, which we know, we are small business owners, they will be collected at the end of the funding process. So those will be a part of your closing fees.
Except for the credit report fee.
Except for the credit reports.
Well, that's good to know, definitely. So prepare yourself and have everything ready. Make sure you've thought about this funding as is it really what you need? Is it the way to go? Is there another way to go where you don't have to look for funding? Sometimes slow growth is the best. Sometimes there is no other way. With large equipment or buildings, sometimes you really need a loan. But definitely weigh it, sleep on it, and make sure you're ready for it before you go ahead with this idea. Talk to us, call Icap, do a consultation before you go through this process. I'm very thankful for you, Dwayne and TF. It was wonderful to have you with us. I'm very glad that everybody who showed up. It's good to see different people that I've seen before, and it's great to have you all. Again, I'll send you information by email, and hopefully we'll be in contact. Check out our other stuff and stay in contact with us and participate. It's always good to see people here.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. Thank you, guys. Thank you all you guys for attending. We look forward to working with everyone, and we look forward to trying to help all these small businesses out and moving forward in your careers.